quick review from last week. If you weren't able to join us, I'm going to give you, in 5 minutes or less, a session one unlocking new features recap. If you are interested in getting the information from session one, we do have our recording available that we can share with you so that you can go back and review all of the features at a later time. So what do we talk about? What are some of these new features? Well, we rolled out Enterprise Tools Access, which basically gives you the ability to curate enterprise tools aligned to your organization's needs, their values, and their curriculum. What did this mean for you? It means that our org admins can now view a complete tool list, including all of the customized tools that you can create, that you now have the power to enable or disable any educator or student tool. And you also have the power to control MagicSchools for students' access for your entire district or organization. So we reviewed what that was, how you could access those, and what that looks like for you. No, we didn't stop there. We kept the magic coming. And we also talked about specifically how to customize enterprise tools. So we walked through a couple of examples on how to customize a lesson planning tool, for example, and how you could modify these AI tools to fit your specific district's needs. We talked about how you could streamline this tool deployment across schools so that you can create one centralized tool and have that centralized control, but then share it with your entire district, therefore ensuring consistency and alignment with your centralized processes. Didn't stop there. We also talked about RAG technology, which is brand new technology. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And all this means is that we talked about chatbots that can now handle huge documents with huge word counts. So you can create custom AI chatbots where you could load an entire curriculum and serve that as a knowledge base, or you could load an entire handbook and have that be the knowledge base. And what this enables you to do is that you can have instant, accurate answers from these massive school documents, which saves time ultimately for you, your educators, and your students. And it way surpasses our normal 75,000 word count. So we talked about those, and then we had people play around with them a little bit in breakout spaces. But today, what are we going to do? We're going to dive in even deeper so that you feel truly comfortable with some of these new features and that you walk through an example and then you get to build it on your own. So we're going to start with our first collaborative use case, which we're going to focus on the lesson planning tool. This lesson planning tool is going to allow you to align your lesson plans to district expectations. You're going to be able to create customized lesson plans that are in alignment with your district priorities. Think about what this means in terms of you can leverage separate customized lesson plan tools for each content area based on content need. You could also choose to limit teachers to only using the version of the tool that you create. So you could disable the regular lesson planning tool and actually only push out your customized version. I'm going to stop talking here. I'm going to pass it to my colleague who's going to walk you through an example of this use case before we jump into breakout spaces and actually build it. So passing you to Tracy.
Hey everybody, we're going to walk through building a lesson plan generator that you might use to help build some consistency across your school or district around some of the practices that you would like to see in addition to building those lesson plans. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come down here to your organization and open up your tool management space. And in that tool management space, you do have kind of a tool access area and a MagicSchool for students kind of toggle that you can turn on and off. We're going to leave those alone for now and run straight into our managed custom enterprise tool library space. As you can see, you've got your enabled tools at the top, your disabled tools here in the middle, of which there are many. And then you have your space to create a new enterprise tool down here at the bottom. This is where we're going to get started. We're actually going to choose our lesson plan generator to get started, but you can see that you can access these top 6, which are the tools that we have had a lot of folks ask us for, which is why we placed them at the top. Additionally, you could open up the entire tool list and pull any of those tools to customize for your needs. But today we're going to focus on the lesson plan generator, and we're going to open that up. And folks hopefully have become familiar with this little split screen, which will help you understand the inputs that you're placing into that tool, as well as what the folks who use that tool are going to see. Your inputs exist on the left-hand side, and what folks will see from that tool lives on the right. And one of the things that I know that everybody struggles with is making sure that we assess what is being taught. It's one of those things that's the most difficult to do, is to have folks across schools and across districts being very clear and concise about what it is that they are teaching, as well as what it is they are assessing for each and every single lesson that they teach. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up this lesson plan generator so that it produces an assessment that goes along with the lesson. And certainly a teacher can kind of pull the questions from that assessment that they think are most relevant or most best fit their lesson. But this configuration of the lesson plan generator will go ahead and produce an assessment right after the lesson as well, all in one step. So as we're configuring this, we want to make sure that we name this something that will allow folks to understand what it is that they're opening up. So I'm going to change that name very quickly. And we're going to kind of walk through this as fast as possible, but also as clearly as possible. So I'm going to do my best to strike a good balance there. You also want to change the description because the folks who open up this tool are going to need to know exactly what this tool does. So I'm going to go ahead and change my description that helps folks understand that. Once you get to this section, you need to think about the things that you want folks to be able to access all the time. And you want to leave those blank and leave those visible for folks. So to leave them visible, you want to make sure that these little eyeballs next to each field are blue, because if you click on it and gray it out, you'll see that that additional criteria was removed from this side over here. That means that somebody who's opening up this tool and using it wouldn't be able to see that field over here. And so you just want to make sure that any field you want your users to see, you can see on this right side and also has a blue eyeball next to it. And for our lesson plan generator, we actually want folks to see each and every single one of these fields because we want them to be able to build lessons that fit their needs. So you wouldn't want to hide any of these fields. The additional piece here is when you click next, is you have an opportunity to write some custom instructions for this lesson plan generator that will allow you to add on to the outputs that you would typically get from the lesson plan generator. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a set of instructions that ask for assessment questions to be produced after every single lesson that's generated. I'll ask for 5 multiple choice and 5 free response questions. And also I would like for those multiple choice questions to be at depth of knowledge levels 1 and 2. And I would like for those free response questions to be at depth of knowledge level 3 and 4. So I've got all of that in my prompt here. Just to note, if you are struggling with a prompt or you need help with a prompt, you can use this button right here and get help with that prompt. Then when you click next, obviously you can come over here and test this, and you can see if the lesson plan produces the types of assessment questions that you would like. So I'll just go ahead and test it quickly with our good old-fashioned mitosis example. It's just super fast, which is why we use it all the time. And I want to make sure that we're using our time wisely. So I obviously can put more information in here. I would if I was developing a lesson, but for proof of concept, I'm going to go ahead and show you what this gives you. Our normal lesson plan, which you guys probably have seen before, and then you'll see we get our depth of knowledge level 1 and 2 questions here, and then our level 3 and 4 free response questions, as well as an answer key for both. So this could be a really good way to go ahead and customize your lesson plan tool to make sure that folks across your school or district are giving an assessment that masters the lesson that they're giving. So once it works the way you'd like, you can go ahead and click Save and Next. And then this is our space where we can enable a tool if we would like. We highly encourage you to leave that tool disabled and use this copy test link here so that you test whatever tool that you're building thoroughly before you enable it, because once you enable it, that will go wide to your entire organization. So that's my quick version of how to build a customized lesson planning tool in a way that might make sense for a school or district.
And we're going to talk about another use case. for the next portion of this. And so we are going to talk specifically about the writing feedback tool, another tool that has wide applications across the board, and it allows you to align student feedback with district rubrics. And so just really thinking about how can you attach organization or district rubrics for feedback alignment, and then even thinking beyond that, how could you create multiple versions of this tool based on different types of writing that your district supports, like scientific writing or narrative writing, argumentative writing, or AP exams, and like preparing students for all different types of writing that they incur. So I'm going to pass it to Tracy, and he's going to walk you through a demo before we get back into breakout spaces.
So I'm going to take you through a quick version of how you can think about taking that writing feedback tool and making it match the needs of your school or district. So we're already in our organization space and our tool management space. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that org-wide custom writing feedback tool that you can use. And again, if you've ever customized anything, you know this screen really well. You've got your inputs on the left and what folks are going to see on the right-hand side. In a different way than our lesson plan generator, there are many inputs for this type of customization, which you're going to set and then hide from the folks who are using it so that they can just open it up and use it based on the settings that you've provided. And so today what I'm going to do is actually going to start with a STAR 6th grade informational writing rubric. STAR is the test that folks use in Texas. And it's where I used to teach, so I just went for that one. So this is going to be a STAR 6th grade informational writing feedback tool. And I'll just change the description as well, again, so folks understand which tool they're using. This will be really important, particularly if you have multiple different types of writing tools that you release across your district or org. You would want to make sure that that name and description fits. Additionally, you'll probably have one of these for different grade levels as well. So you want to set this grade level here and hide it so that folks have the correct grade level but don't need to mess with it. In terms of describing the assignment for something like this, that's just informational writing, you can just go ahead and quickly name it that. That bit of information doesn't terribly impact the feedback the students are going to get. And then obviously you would want to upload your rubric here. So I'm going to go ahead and upload the STAR rubric, which I have saved on my desktop. There. And now this is something that you might or might not have seen yet is we've added the ability to go ahead and add instructions in the same space as where you've uploaded your rubric. That exists in the enterprise space as well as in the normal writing feedback tool. So it's good to know that it's there and you can just continue to give kind of a level of detail in terms of the feedback that you want students to get in those spaces. There's also this space right here, which you can provide more kind of specific directions for the feedback that you want given. And then obviously you would want to hide these two fields as well, because the whole point of this is to release something that gives relatively standardized feedback to the folks who are using it. So right now you've got all your inputs on this side. You've got those things hidden so that folks will just have a space to input writing. And this looks pretty similar to what you would get in the normal customized tool. The difference comes when you click to the next section. This is a set of custom instructions that you can add that will, it's not quite a system message in terms of its level of kind of informing the way the tool works, but it's pretty darn close. And you can add very detailed instructions here that probably wouldn't work in those other two spaces, or it certainly wouldn't work quite as well. And the instructions that I'm going to give here, for example, is that I want the students to ensure that the feedback highlights strengths and areas of improvement. I also want to change the language of the things that I have placed in that feedback to make sure that it's appropriate for 6th grade level. Some of the other things that I've added here is that I want a score for the rubric on each section and then the total score as well, so that as you're going through this, you can see how students are doing on the sections of the rubric as well as the total score as well. And then when I click next, you can see your typical space where you can test it. And here we'll go ahead and give it a shot. I'm going to take a piece of writing and plug it in so we can see if my instructions for the rubric scores and everything else worked. And you can see it's giving scores on the rubric at the top. It's giving 2 bullet points for growth. I'm sorry, for strength. It gave 3 for growth, and I only asked for 2, so that's something I might go back and fix. And then it does give some general writing feedback on mechanics at the bottom. And once it's behaving the way you'd like, we get our save and next, and that brings us back to our enable disable screen, which you guys know, so I won't go back through that again. But so that's one way that you could take that customized writing feedback tool and build it for a specific grade level, a specific type of writing that might be useful across your organization.
Last thing as we kind of like wrap up together is that this kind of collaboration is extremely powerful here. And so as you create tools for your district, which I'm sure you already do because educators, we do this naturally, but just collaborating with others and sharing ideas and then working on the prompts and then testing things out is absolutely key. And so we're just really, really happy that you joined us today and that you shared some of your think time and work time and processing time with us. We will see you next time. Thank y'all.